Everyone. When we left off, we were hearing from Juliana, and she was listening to kind of an argument with her parents. And let's see, her dad had said, "We've discussed this so many times, Trina. In the end, you always agree that keeping him at Greenhaven is the right thing to do." I wanted to say, "Wait, what are you talking about? Who are you talking about?" But the conversation was flying so fast and furious that I couldn't seem to break in. And it wasn't long before they were bickering so badly that it was almost like I wasn't there. And then in the back of my mind, it clicked. Everything clicked. It was my dad's brother they were talking about, my uncle, David. To me, Uncle David was only a name, someone my parents had explained to me, but not someone I had ever actually met. And even though I knew my dad visited him, I never knew exactly when. He never talked about it. Dad also thought we shouldn't talk about Uncle David to others because David was retarded. I hate that word, it's awful. People jump to conclusions. They assume that by association, something must also be wrong with you. Trust me, I know. So we didn't talk about it. Not at home, not with friends. It was almost like there was no Uncle David. Until now. Now he felt larger than life, and I could tell from their argument that he was the reason we didn't have our own house. He was the reason we didn't have nice cars or fancy things. He was the reason there always seemed to be a cloud of weariness hanging over my parents. Why did I have to bring up the yard in the first place? I'd never seen my parents fight like this, ever. I wanted to grab them and say, "Stop it! Stop it! You love each other, you do!" But I just sat there with tears streaming down my face. My mother stopped suddenly and whispered, "We should not be doing this in front of her." "I'm sorry, Juliana," my dad said. Then he reached over and held my forearm. "Don't cry. None of this is your fault. We'll work it out, I promise." My mother tried to laugh through her tears, saying, "We always have. We always will." That night, my parents came into my room and talked to me, one at a time. My father talked about his brother and how much he loved him, and how he had promised his parents he'd always take care of him. My mother talked about how much she loved my father for his strength and kind heart, about dreams and reality, and the need to count your blessings. And she made me cry all over again when she kissed me goodnight and whispered that of all of her many blessings, I was her best and brightest. I felt sorry for my father. I felt sorry for my mother, but most of all, I felt lucky for me that they were mine. And in the morning, as I rode my rusty bike out the driveway to school, I promised myself that when I got home, I would tackle the yard. Rented or not, this was our home, and I was going to help make living here better. As it turns out, this was easier thought than done. First, it took me half an hour rummaging through the garage to find a hammer and a box of nails, a saw, and some pruners. Then it took another half hour of standing around to figure out just where to start. The actual yard was just clumps of weeds, and what about the bordering shrubs? Should I dig them up or prune them way back? Were they shrubs or just overgrown weeds? And what about the fence? Should I knock it down or rebuild it? Maybe I should take out the front end entirely and use the wood to fix up the sides. The longer I looked around, the more I felt like forgetting the whole thing. Why bother? It wasn't our property. Mr. Finnegan should be the one making repairs. But then I remembered my mother's words from the night before. Surely, I thought, a few bushes and some dilapidated wood couldn't stop someone's best and brightest blessing. Surely not. And with that, I picked up the clippers and got to work. Half an hour later, I was keeper of the knowledge that one bush equals many branches, and that the volume of a bush increases exponentially as it is cut and tossed into the middle of the yard. It was ridiculous. Where was I going to put all this stuff? Mom came home and tried to talk me out of my mission, but I would have none of it. Oh, no, no, no. I had already pruned 2 bushes down to a respectable size, and before long she would see the place was going to look just dandy. You didn't get your stubborn streak from me, she said, but she came back outside with a glass of juice and a kiss on my cheek. Good enough for me. By the end of that first day, what I had made was a big mess. But if chaos is a necessary step in the organization of one's universe, then I was well on my way. At least that's what I tried to tell myself when I flopped into bed that night, dead tired. And the next afternoon, I was busily expanding the chaos of my little universe when I heard a deep voice say, "That's quite an undertaking, young lady." The man standing on our sidewalk was Bryce's grandfather. I knew that much, but I had only ever seen him outside one time. All the other times I had seen him had been through the window, either the one in the sitting room or one in their car. To me, he was just a dark-haired man behind glass. Having him appear on my sidewalk was like having someone from TV step through the screen and talk to you. I know we've seen each other from time to time. I'm sorry it's taken me over a year to come introduce myself. I'm Chester Duncan, Bryce's grandfather. And you, of course, are Juliana Baker. We'll find out what he has to say to Juliana next time. Go get some sunshine, guys. I'll see you later.